Welcome to the 97 Republic YouTube channel, where I react to UFC news and live events. So I kindly ask that you hit the like button and the subscribe button, as that will really help this channel grow. And to ensure that you don't skip a beat, feel free to click the notification bell as well. That way you can ensure that you don't miss any of the action. I really hope you enjoy this one. Main card predictions for UFC 313 starting right now. So we start off the main card in the lightweight division, where Bobby Green, yes, Bobby Green, I'm not calling him King Henry V Green, is taking on Mauricio Ruffy in what would be an exciting contest, where if we look at both fighters' respective UFC careers, respective professional careers, Bobby Green has had 49 professional fights, an ungodly amount of professional fights, where he won 32 of them, lost 16, and ended up drawing 1. Safe to say that whoever Bobby Green fights, he would probably have the advantage with regards to experience. Inside of the UFC, he has had 26 fights, where he's won 13 of them, lost 11, draw 1, had 1 no contest. So a lot of fights. Mauricio Ruffy is 11-1 inside of his professional mixed martial arts career, 2-0 inside of the UFC. Fought on Dana White's Contender Series, ended up winning there, and then came to the UFC, had a good win versus Ion Top, and had a good knockout victory over Jamie Mullarkey. Now, if you look at both men's respective skill set, with regards to how they fight, both men are predominantly strikers. The only difference is Mauricio Ruffy is way more of a technical striker than Bobby Green. Bobby Green has his hands down throughout the entirety of his UFC career, where he fights with his hands low, and basically, he said it, I'm not saying it, his fighting style is hood. That is what his definition of it was. Where, obviously, Mauricio Ruffy is an extremely sophisticated striker. Has a karate stance, jumps forward and backward, not as much as probably Michael Venom Page, but he has good movement, good head movement. He's an exceptional counter striker, has a lot of power, has extremely good technique, has extremely good timing, really good speed. He is extremely accurate. So safe to say, I'm picking Mauricio Ruffy to win this fight, due to the fact that the fight will probably play out on the feet for its entirety. And if someone would probably initiate a wrestling exchange, would probably be Ruffy as well. Don't see it happening. We saw Bobby Green versus Jalen Turner, where he got knocked out viciously due to the fact that he has his hands low. Whenever he enters, he is extremely susceptible to getting counterpunched, and that basically fits Mauricio Ruffy's fighting technique. Whether Mauricio Ruffy would fight on the front foot, back foot, doesn't matter. He is extremely comfortable wherever it takes place, whether he fights on the back or front foot. Mauricio Ruffy via knockout, probably stay in the second round. Then, moving on to the second fight within the main card, in the women's strawweight division, Amanda Lemos taking on Yasmin Lucindo. Now, with regards to both women's respective professional careers, Amanda has had 19 professional fights, and Yasmin has had 22. Where Amanda has won 14 of her 19 fights and Yasmin has won 17 of her 22 fights. The difference, however, is Amanda has had 12 fights inside the UFC. Yasmin has had 5. So even though it would seem that Yasmin Lucindo has more experience, Amanda Lemos has fought better competition. And seeing that Amanda is predominantly a striker, has exceptional striking, especially for the strawweight division. She is really quick, has a lot of feints, throws a lot of kicks, really difficult to hit. We saw that in the Mackenzie Dern fight. She is probably the best striker in the women's strawweight division right now. And with regards to Lucindo, even though she's not a bad striker, not as sophisticated, not even half as sophisticated as Amanda Lemos with regards to striking, where Yasmin likes to wrestle, and basically that's where she feels comfortable. Whenever she wrestles, whenever she is able to take her opponent down, every fight she's won, she's also won the takedown differential, where she had more takedowns than her opponent. The fight she ended up losing and secure a single takedown. So safe to say that Yasmin Lucindo wants to take the fight to the ground. The problem is, when we saw her against Marina Rodriguez, it only took Yasmin Lucindo to actually take down Rodriguez in the almost the very last minute of the first round. And in that fight, she actually got rocked just before taking Marina Rodriguez down. That is, however, a problem, because if that same thing happens to Amanda Lemos, she is not surviving that. Where Mackenzie Dern had the same happen to her, and by God's grace, she was able to survive that, because the referee could have stopped that at multiple occasions. So I do think what is odd is the fact that a lot of times Yasmin would actually go the first round without actually trying to execute a takedown, without trying to go into wrestling exchanges, and then basically start with her game plan in the second round. I don't think she can afford to do that against Amanda Lemos. I'm picking Amanda Lemos to win the fight. A lot of times, especially within the women's division, we see a woman that is somewhat dominant, and the first time she fights a sophisticated striker, for example Amanda Lemos, they tend to freeze up, because you're going to feel something you haven't felt before. You're going to see something you haven't seen before with regards to Lemos's accuracy, with regards to her speed, her feints, her striking prowess. I do think that is a problem, especially for inexperienced fighters like Lucindo. Now, sure, she's not inexperienced, she's had 22 fights. She's had 5 fights inside of the UFC, not a lot of experience. Amanda has had 12, and Amanda won 8 of them, lost 4 of them. In Amanda's recent run of form, she has been unbeaten apart from losing to Zhang Weili, who is arguably the best woman fighter in the world right now, and Verna Yanderova, who is probably fighting Zhang Weili next for the title at strawweight. So I definitely think Amanda is winning this fight. I think she wins via unanimous decision. I think in the first round, she probably rocks Yasmin Lucindo, and then in the second round, Yasmin would probably freeze up, feel like she can't execute her game plan, and basically just have her standing in front of Lemos. I think Lemos gets it done. Then heading into the third fight, once again in the lightweight division, we have 2 absolute giants taking on one another, where Jalen Turner is facing Ignacio Bahamondes. Jalen Turner is 6'4", a massive figure for lightweight, and Ignacio Bahamondes is 6'3". So safe to say we will see a lot of chins looking at the horizon, where both men, being exceptionally tall, both men predominantly considered to be strikers, and both men are exceptional at it. Now, Jalen Turner has had 22 professional fights within his professional mixed martial arts career. Bahamondes has had 21. Jalen has managed to win 14 of his 22. Bahamondes ended up winning 16 of his 21. Once again, the difference is Jalen Turner has had 12 fights inside of the UFC. Bahamondes has had 7. And out of Bahamondes' 7 fights inside of the UFC, he managed to win 5 of them, lost 2 of them. Jalen Turner has managed to win 7 of his, lost 5 of his fights within the UFC. However, not a fair reflection of Jalen Turner's ability if we look at his record, where he has been on the receiving end of some unfortunate circumstances. Now, sure, some of it is due to his own actions, but his record could be way different had things played out different. For example, in his last fight against Renato Moicano, ended up knocking Renato down. Thought he had a walk-off TKO or KO, and then Renato basically just stood up and ended up in the second round beating Jalen Turner via ground and pound. So Jalen should have won that fight, did everything to win that fight, just to basically he snatched defeat out of the jaws of victory. And obviously prior to that fight ended up beating King Louis VI Green via a devastating knockout. Prior to his fight against Bobby Green, lost to Dan Hooker via split decision, and lost to Matthias Gamrot prior to that fight as well via split decision, where he got a knockdown versus Matthias Gamrot. Could easily be on a 4-fight 5-fight, 6-fight unbeaten streak, had it not been for some luck not going his way. Not sure ifs and buts, but just basically showcasing and highlighting how his ability isn't really reflected through his UFC record. Now, if we look at both men are sophisticated strikers, with both men's glaring weakness being obviously wrestling. And with that being said, do not think we'll see a lot of wrestling. With regards to striking, both men utilizes a lot of strikes, throws kicks, uses their punches, uses their jabs due to the fact that they are tall men. The only difference is, I feel like Jalen Turner has the advantage with regards to striking, seeing that first off, he doesn't get hit as much as Bahamondes does. Even though Bahamondes is a good counter striker, he does get hit a lot in those exchanges, where Jalen Turner, being more experienced, having seen more, basically having felt more of those exchanges, especially when separating at the clinch, especially whenever someone enters, I feel like Jalen would have the advantage. And with regards to striking accuracy, speed, just the whole fluidity of how he strikes, I feel like Jalen Turner has the advantage. So I'm picking Jalen Turner to win, and honestly I could see it via knockout. I think Jalen Turner wins this fight. I'm gonna say first round knockout. Then moving on to the co-main event, once again inside of the lightweight division. The lightweight division has been blessed within this main card. We have Justin Gaethje versus Rafael Fiziev in a rematch of a fight that basically took place 2 years ago. And if you missed it, made a video basically going in depth with regards to both men, how their careers have played out after that fight, and you can just click on that link. It would take you to that video. Either you can revisit it or watch it if you haven't seen it. But basically it's gonna come down to how fresh will Rafael Fiziev be? How fresh will Justin Gaethje be? Seeing that obviously Rafael Fiziev is coming off of a 1.5 year layoff due to the fact that he tore his ACL. Justin Gaethje coming off probably one of the most devastating knockouts we've ever seen. Definitely the most devastating knockout he's ever experienced. So it's gonna be interesting to see who will bounce back due to the fact that both men has been through some adversity. And in their first fight, we saw Rafael Fiziev basically dominate the first round, where he looked way faster, looked way more technical, was landing better, felt like his timing was just too much for Justin to handle, timed everything to a T. And then in the second round, Justin started taking over the round, started catching Rafael Fiziev whenever he exits the void, ended up landing bigger punches, ended up landing better overall, and just felt like he did more damage, started to wear on Rafael Fiziev's face. And then in the third round, Rafael Fiziev started like a house on fire, only for that fire to be put out by Justin Gaethje, where Rafael Fiziev almost dropped Gaethje in the very first few seconds of the third round. Ended up dominating probably the first round, or the first minute rather, of the third round. And then Justin Gaethje bounced back and basically started jabbing, started utilizing everything that we know to be basically what serves as a testament for Justin Gaethje in the way he fights, where it is controlled chaos. It is controlled, seeing that he used his jab, kept Rafael at bay, and then whenever Rafael entered, whenever Rafael was somewhat sloppy, we saw chaos. And Justin Gaethje basically just benefiting off of every scenario. However, in this fight, we saw Rafael Fiziev tire himself out, where obviously his production in the second, third round wasn't the same as in the first round. I think that is a massive learning point for Rafael Fiziev heading into this rematch, where he will know how to pace himself better. Knows that he is extremely durable, was able to eat Gaethje's punches. Now sure, you cannot stand there and think that you will survive. If you eat every single one of them clean, you will get sent to space. However, I think that Rafael Fiziev will definitely put on a pace that is more sustainable for him, have learned of his mistakes, and would basically put up a better performance, make it a closer fight. With regards to Justin Gaethje, probably the first round, won't be able to let it slip this time. Because if Rafael ends up winning the first round this time, I think he ends up winning the fight. And with regards to the clinch in the first fight, with regards to Justin mixing it up, taking Rafael down, or even just showing him something else, I think that would prove to be a very important factor in the rematch as well. Where if we just go wrestling, Justin is a better wrestler than Rafael Fiziev. So I'm picking Justin Gaethje to win this fight. I would be absolutely insane to pick Rafael Fiziev, even though I am a massive Rafael Fiziev fan. He is coming off of a torn ACL. We don't know what he's going to look like. He haven't been inside of the UFC for a year and a half. So a lot of risks picking Fiziev to win this fight. However, I do think he can actually win the fight. I think if he paces himself better, and if he is able to fight the fight on his terms, basically enter, exit without getting caught every time he exits, or basically just stay in the void a little bit longer, wait for Justin to throw one of those crazy hooks, maybe catch him on the counter, I do think that Fiziev could definitely win this fight. However, the way that Justin is evolved, I think plays a big role in him winning this fight, due to the fact that he is able to basically get the better of these chaotic exchanges. Has his jab, will probably use his jab from the beginning this time, with Trevor Whitman in his corner basically being an analyzing freak, seeing everything. I think Justin wins this fight. I do think it goes the distance once again. I don't think Rafael is getting knocked out. So Justin Gaethje via unanimous decision. Then heading into the main event, Alex Pereira versus Magomed Ankalaev. Now goes without saying that if this fight ends up playing out on the feed for its entirety, Alex Pereira is the champion. He will remain the champion. No person's winning that fight. However, I do think that Ankalaev said what he said. There is no way that Magomed Ankalaev is planning on fighting this fight on the feed. I think he takes Alex Pereira down. However, I do think that Alex has somewhat involved with regards to his wrestling defense, with regards to getting out, basically in the same way as Izzy did, taking basically a page out of Izzy's playbook. And I do think that Alex will be able to get up whenever he gets taken down. Now, how much that will wear on him, not sure. However, tend to take the wrestler whenever he fights a striker. In this fight, I'm going with Alex Pereira. I think we will see some wrestling. I think we will see Alex stand up. We will see Alex and his evolution as being a grappler within the UFC. And I do think that he would use his leg kicks, compromise Magomed Ankalaev's legs the same way Jan Blachowicz did. And obviously, being the more sophisticated striker, being way better than Jan Blachowicz on the feet, I think he is able to catch Magomed Ankalaev, maybe on an entry with a knee, maybe he catches him with a left hook. I do think Alex Pereira gets it done, and I'm gonna say knockout. Now I'm not gonna say which round, because it is even difficult for me. I just have a feeling. Yeah, my intuition is speaking more than anything else. Tend to pick the wrestler whenever he faces a striker, but seeing how Alex, how good he is, how good his timing is. We saw it in the Michelitis fight, when Michelitis took him down, and he learned from that in the second round, started the second round, landed a devastating jumping knee to Michelitis, ended up winning that fight. I think basically the same happens. I think Magomed is gonna get sloppy, look for a takedown, which probably isn't there, and then gets caught on the entry, either by a jumping knee, an uppercut, and I think it starches him. I think Alex goes on to win by a knockout. That is basically my predictions for UFC 330. Let me know in the comment section what your predictions are for every single fight of the main card and how it's going to end. I would really appreciate that. Enjoy the event.